and welcome to Race to Your Career, the podcast series brought to you by the British Horse Racing Authority's Careers in Racing team. My name's Nor and I'll be your host as we dive in and around the world of British horse racing. Today I'm at the National Stud where I'll be talking to Sam and Abby all about their time at the Youth Collaboration Group. We'll be diving into the skills they've developed, the things they got up to and how you can best set yourself up for a great career in British horse racing.
In an ideal world, money and objects, I'd just be at the races every day of the week, just sat there in the stands, enjoying myself, watching all the horses, seeing them in the parade ring.
It's a Roomba lawnmower.
He's actually been nicknamed Fred.
What would you say the worst parts of your role are? The weather can be such a challenge.
And they even gave him a bicycle, so
It's really lovely. You could get to work every day.
So welcome Sam and Abby. I know that both of you are part of the Youth Collaboration Group. So why don't we start with you, Sam, and can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
So I'm 19 years old and I've been a racing fan for as long as I can remember. I'm a uni student at the moment and do a lot of content creation online, and I've recently started writing for a newspaper.
It's exciting. I hope to tell us a bit more about that later. What about you, Abby?
I'm also 19 and I work for Gary Moore Racing, and I also help with the Youth Collaboration Group in creating content and overseeing things.
How did you kind of get into horse racing?
So the yard where I keep my horse, the yard owner when I was about 16, so she's an amateur jockey and works alongside the trainer Paddy Butler, and one day she just said to me, do you want to come and ride out on one of the race horses? So I did, and I think that's just my love for horse racing has progressed from there. And I just kept riding out more. Then I went to the British Racing School in Newmarket, and now I'm at Gary Moore's.
Nice. So what are you currently doing at the British Horse Racing School?
So I've did my 12-week foundation course up there, and now I'm doing my level 2 apprenticeship in racehorse care, which is done at my placement at Gary Moore's. So I'm just riding out, grooming all the horses, completing coursework, and just getting my qualification.
And what about you, Sam? How did you get into horse racing?
So I first started being exposed to racing through my granddad, so he'd always have it on the telly when we went to visit on a Saturday, and I kind of got more and more interested in watching the racing rather than kind of playing and doing other things as a kid, and asking as many questions as possible. And then he got poorly and it became kind of something that I knew would always make him smile, so I kind of pursued an interest in racing as something to kind of keep connected to him. And I've always loved writing, so I started with a website called Rain It in Racing. We were all under 18 at the time, and kind of just explored the sport through kind of writing about it, and then joined in with Careers in Racing.
So what sorts of content do you typically write about?
So for Careers in Racing, it's with the kind of careers aspect looking at it. So I've spoken to a lot of people from the British Horse Racing Authority, such as stewards, and they've told me all about their job. Whereas kind of for Rain It In, I tended to preview races, go to yards and interview trainers, or studs and interview the staff about their stallions. So a huge range of things.
And Abby, how did you first become involved with Careers in Racing and in the Youth Collaboration Group?
So I was studying at Plumpton College, and I think Michelle, who works for Careers in Racing and the British Horse Racing Authority, she contacted my college and said, is anyone interested in possibly coming up and doing a couple of days work experience in the offices in London? So I jumped at the opportunity. I went up there, did a couple of days. I spoke to everyone in all the different departments, and then I worked with Sean and Adam in the Careers in Racing and did a lot of marketing work with them. And then they offered me a place in the Youth Collaboration Group, so I took it.
Nice. What about you, Sam?
So I started creating content after seeing a tweet on what was then Twitter. And they said, would anybody be interested? And I thought, well, happy to try and do more things and kind of branch out into social media a little bit more. And I mean, Sean's been fantastic with helping me kind of streamline my content and making everything as kind of good as it can be. And then I've gone and done a fair few kind of like Instagram takeovers, mainly centered around Instagram. And then the Youth Collaboration Group came along a little bit later, and so I joined in with that, and it's been great to meet fellow racing fans like Abby.
Abby, what have you done in the Youth Collaboration Group, and how has it helped develop your careers and confidence?
So I've been lucky that I've been able to do quite a lot with the youth collaboration group. So I think one of my first days I did with them was at the Epsom Derby. Just went on the stall, kind of taught all the young kids on the simulators. Then I did a behind the scenes at Lingfield Racecourse. So I went in the dope box and just went down to the starters team and kind of saw a different aspect of race day. And then I've done a lot of interviews and online work, designing merchandise. And I've definitely developed lots of skills from it, and it's definitely built my confidence a lot more.
Would you say it's also kind of contributed to your social life as well, not just like your career?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I've met so many great people in part of the group. Meeting Sam today, and I met a few other people from the group as well.
Yeah. Sam, you mentioned a WhatsApp group. Is there a bit of a social aspect to the youth collaboration group?
There can be, definitely. So we always say, like, oh, if I'm going racing at Cheltenham, I'll be like, oh, is anybody else there? And if possible, we could try and meet up. We are all over the country, so sometimes it's a little bit difficult to kind of cross paths, but it's always nice with the Careersinracing organised events because there tend to be a few more of us here. But I think it's getting to the point where we are starting to kind of have our little social groups within it and kind of talk together through that.
And you've mentioned you've done a lot of kind of social media content and content writing. Is that the only thing that you've done in the youth collaboration group, or is there another kind of side to it as well, to what you do?
So it is mainly content creation for me. I know a couple of other people have different avenues to go through the marketing, but we've all kind of had a say in the like merchandise, and we've got some fantastic hoodies.
Everyone loves a hoodie.
We love hoodies. Tote bags, fantastic, but we've got to design them as well. And then I've done so through the content creation, started out at Doncaster races doing racing league. I've done 2 of them, and it was great. I mean, it was the first time I got my press accreditation was there, so that was very exciting. And then I love the pony racing days, so that's kind of like a taster day for local pony club kids or anybody with an interest in racing. And then we watch pony races as well, so I've documented those days. And when I've been to Newmarket, I've kind of tried through what we've done there as well. So
how do you fit it into your studies? Because you've mentioned that you go to university, so it sounds like quite a lot to be doing in addition to doing your studies.
It was. I haven't done that much now. I'm only in my first year and I've done 2 terms so far. So I've managed to balance it, but I had a little bit more leeway when I was doing my A-levels. So now we've just got to see, but touch wood at the minute. It's going fine.
That's good to hear. Do you find that it also kind of adds to your studies? Is there any benefits that you're able to kind of cross over?
Absolutely. I mean, first things first, I've had people comment how good the youth collaboration group looks on my CV. It's a brilliant asset to have on that, kind of being involved in something where you can have your voice be heard, and it's great for communication and collaboration and meeting new people. When you go to races, I don't know about you, all the times I've met so many new people, and it's about adapting and kind of getting like more networking and more opportunities through that.
So Abby, you said that you were riding since you were barely walk, or I think that was what you mentioned before we went on camera. So clearly riding is a very enjoyable part of your life. What would you say is the most enjoyable aspect of being part of the youth collaboration group?
Probably getting to go out and meet different people, and just developing my skills and learning a bit more about behind the scenes of racing. Like I said earlier, when I was down at the starting team at Lingfield, that was really great learning about that.
Do you have a particular favourite?
I just love going out on the days out and meeting new people, really.
What about you, Sam? What do you enjoy the most?
Yeah, I completely agree. Just being able to get out and track and kind of having that insight that you don't necessarily get as a race goer. And being with Careersinracing, we get to like chat to the British Horse Racing Authority officials and that kind of thing. And I've been in the weighing room and seen all that stuff that's normally off limits to the public. And then it's our job as content creators to kind of show that to our social media following.
Yeah. So content creation is a big part of your role. But what is your current role title and what are your career aspirations?
I've just started with the Times newspaper writing for them. So that's kind of the next step on from what I've done with Careersinracing.
Okay.
Careersinracing's really been a kind of a springboard for that to open the doors for new opportunities. So a lot of the skills that I've developed through my work with the Youth Collaboration Group are now what I'm using on a race day. So I was at the Cheltenham Festival recently, working there. So it's the same. It's like meeting new people, interviewing people. It's all the skills I've developed through Careersinracing. that are now helping me to write articles for the Times, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, that's a really great achievement. What about you? What are your aspirations and what's your actual title, Abby?
So my current title is a racing groom and work rider.
Okay.
So that involves riding out every morning, and then we've all got 5 horses at our yard that we look after. Starts grooming them, mucking them out, taking them racing. And then my aspirations are I would love to get my amateur license out and ride in a couple races. And maybe one day when I feel like I'm ready for a bit of a change, I'd love to go more into the welfare side of horse racing.
Okay. So what sorts of roles are in the welfare side? What kind of jobs would you be doing?
So you've got like the welfare integrity officers. So they're at the race courses. They oversee the horses that come in and out of the stables. And then you've got the ones that work in the dope box, so testing for prohibited substances. You've got people that go around the yards just to check that the welfare of the horse is maintained in the yard as well.
Quite a big responsibility, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's a lovely thing to want to do. I'm going to go to you, Sam, for this question. How do you find it encouraging young people to find out or learn more about the options available in the horse racing industry?
I find it really rewarding because people don't necessarily see just how accessible horse racing is. I mean, like we were saying, British Racing School is fantastic for letting people kind of get that career in the sport, and then Northern Racing College, National Horse Racing College as well. That very fact that there is kind of the stereotype around racing, people have an idea of what racing is, but we can kind of show that that's not necessarily the case. Like Abby says, there's so much for welfare, particularly. That's obviously quite a contentious point. But working in the sport, we know just how good the welfare actually is. And like Abby says, there's so many jobs there that that are there to improve welfare and keep kind of bettering ourselves as an industry. So I think showcasing that is really important to me, and I find it very rewarding, particularly, like I said, with the pony racing days, when they just realise how cool this sport is and you get to see the ponies. And I've been to meetings before where Ollie Murphy's brought his racehorses, so it's kind of like the next step on would be riding these racehorses and work. And see their little faces light up. It's fantastic, and it does make it all worth it.
Abby, what skills would you say you've gained by being part of the group and by doing what you do every day?
So I'd say my confidence is definitely a main thing that has developed a lot with being in the group, meeting new people. I guess interview skills have definitely been developed. I've done situations where I've interviewed people and I've also been interviewed myself.
Confidence is a big part. It's important wherever you go.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you, Sam?
I'd say the same, confidence, and like I was saying, you meet so many different people, and it's about the confidence to kind of talk to them. And sometimes it's people that you've seen on the telly, and it's a little bit like, oh gosh, a little bit celebrities, but kind of control the fun guard a little bit.
Just do it when they go, and kind of like, Would you have any advice to anyone going into this industry that you feel like you should give, really?
Definitely work experience. I had a lot of work experience before I came into the industry, and it definitely helps kind of to see like what you're getting yourself into and just make sure that you definitely want to do it. So yeah, definitely work experience.
How did you go about finding that work experience?
So I was very lucky that obviously I had Michelle contact my college, so that was brought to my attention. But there's so many yards, like you could just ping them an email and say, do you mind if I come in one day and just muck out or just see how you do things work? And a lot of the time, most yards will be very accommodating to that.
Sam?
In terms of advice, I think don't be scared to put yourself out there. Social media has its perks and has its downsides, but I think it's quite a good way to get your opinions out there, and to kind of, particularly if you're looking at a media perspective, to get you all of my opportunities have come through social media. So I mean, I'd be nowhere without it. So I kind of have to advocate for, put yourself out there, give it a go. But I suppose as well, for all parts of the sport, really, you will never stop learning. I speak to people who are in their 80s and they say they're still learning about this sport. And I think the big thing is ask questions. When you do your work experience, ask questions. Because you never know everything. And I think that's one of the great things about this sport. We are learning so much from Careersinracing and all that we're doing with the youth collaboration group, and long may it continue.
Yeah. Just one thing. So when you mentioned social media and putting yourself out there and how you found most of your opportunities, is it were the opportunities advertised on like social media pages, or did you kind of create content and that's how you were contacted? So how do you kind of go about using social media?
Both ways, really. There's quite it can be good at times and it can be bad, obviously, like anything, but there's quite a rich social media community on X. So a lot of opportunities, like I said, with Careersinracing, I saw through that. And people kind of get in contact and go, hi, do you want to be on this podcast? And then you kind of, it's all about widening your audience and kind of networking with new people.
So Abby, what's next for the youth collaboration group?
We've got a lot of online and networking and things coming up. And we're an ever-growing group. So if any of these listeners want to have a look online and come join us, then they're more than welcome to.
Right. Well, on that note, thank you so much for coming over and telling us all about your experiences. It's been lovely to hear all about it. And I hope you both have a very fun and busy summer.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode. If we've sparked your interest and you'd like to know more, we have a whole host of resources for you to dive into. And this isn't the only episode of Race to Your Career. So if you haven't already, make sure to check out the rest. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.